to be with his family, Lord, those around him. And God, we thank you for his service to this nation.
Americans around the nation reflecting on former President Jimmy Carter's life as he is opting to receive hospice care at home. Tonight, how his legacy marks a strong connection to South Carolina. Plus, week 5 of Alec Murdaugh's double murder trial starts Tuesday. How blood evidence may play a role as the defense continues presenting witnesses. And later, we tell the story of a breast cancer survivor whose faith was her superpower in fighting the disease. News 19 at 11 starts right now. It's been just over 24 hours since former President Jimmy Carter went into hospice care. Americans across the nation are wishing him well in the final stages of his life. That's where we're starting News 19 tonight. I'm Zoe Henry, in for Kayland Hagwood. The former president's charity announced yesterday the 98-year-old would no longer go forward with medical treatment. Carter says that he wants to be with family for the remainder of his life. Just hours ago, President Biden sent Mr. Carter well wishes on social media, saying he admires the former president for his strength and humility during tough times. Carter's hometown community in Georgia spent the morning in prayer as the former president is on hospice at his home there. At Mr. Carter's church, worshipers took time to honor the former president's long life during the Sunday service.
Lord, we'd be amiss this morning if we did not lift President Carter to you. Lord, we pray that you be with his family, Lord, those around him. And God, we thank you for his service to this nation.
Jimmy Carter is the longest living American president. He spent more than 4 decades after his term serving his hometown community of Plains, Georgia. Here at home, longtime Midlands residents are reflecting on Jimmy Carter's political career. Before becoming president, Mr. Carter was a governor in Georgia and visited South Carolina multiple times, including a trip to the capital city nearly 45 years ago. Our Nate Stanley reports the former president's connection to our state has a lasting legacy.
I don't think anyone would dispute that Jimmy Carter will certainly go down in history as the greatest former president this country's ever had.
Dwight Drake looks back fondly on meeting and working with former President Jimmy Carter. Drake, now a lawyer at Nelson Mullins Riley in Scarborough, was once a part of South Carolina Governor John West's legal counsel. He describes the relationship between West and Carter.
And they became exceptionally close. And Carter, while he was governor, was in this state a great deal. I remember several occasions that I was involved in when President Carter was here, meeting with Governor West and others.
He explains one of those projects was President Carter's Urban Development Action Grant program that Drake says was pivotal to the growth of the capital city in the late 1970s.
It led to the building, caused the building that is now the hotel on Main Street. The other portion of that grant really helped develop the Vista. I mean, the Vista could never have developed, but for Carter having awarded that UDAG grant.
West and Carter continued to have a strong relationship, Carter even appointing West as the ambassador to Saudi Arabia during his presidency. Drake says, looking back, there's a lot of lessons that can be taken away from Carter's legacy, the biggest of which, how we can all work together.
Listening and understanding the viewpoints of people who have different opinions, not to try to be the loudest voice in the room all the time, have civilized intercourse and interchange and debate.
In Columbia, Nate Stanley, News 19, WLTX.
As we speak of Mr. Carter's legacy, it's the pieces outside of politics that bring us to the news of his condition today. Nearly 8 years ago, the former president was diagnosed with melanoma, a serious form of skin cancer. He was 91 years old at the time. A few months later, he started getting treatments and eventually beat his battle with the disease. In 2019, Carter took a serious head injury after falling at home that caused his brain to bleed. He was out of the hospital a month later, but kept getting medical care until choosing to stop following yesterday's announcement. Now at home, Jimmy Carter leaves a long and full legacy behind him, especially in his 4 years at the White House. He served as the nation's 39th president after beating Gerald Ford in the 1976 election. While in office, the White House says Some of Mr. Carter's accomplishments include creating the Department of Education, enhancing the Social Security system, and appointing record numbers of women and minorities to government jobs. Carter served only one term as president, losing to Ronald Reagan in 1980.
So we've been talking a lot about President Carter. President's Day, that's actually tomorrow, and we have a pretty good forecast on the way. So let's break things down. Hope you're having a good Sunday night. News19 meteorologist Corey Smith. 49 degrees currently in Sumter. It's not going to be as cold of a night. We got below freezing yesterday morning. In fact, taking a look at those official temperatures here in the capital city, 30 degrees was our start today, up to 64. So actually pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year, but that's not lasting very long. Some really big changes in the forecast. We're sitting in the 40s, even some 50s this evening, and as you go into overnight, I think we're going to bottom out in the middle 40s for most of us. So a cooler night, but as you go ahead, we're looking at some pretty big warming temperature trends in the forecast. We're up to 57 by 10 a.m. tomorrow, working towards the 70s, but by the middle of the week, temperatures around 20 to 25 degrees above normal. We'll talk about that coming up.
Lexington drivers, listen up. A portion of Highway 321 will close for repairs on Tuesday. The State Transportation Department is repairing the drainage system under the busy road. Highway 321 near Airport Boulevard will stay closed through mid-March. It's unclear exactly when repairs are supposed to be finished. The department adds Lexington drivers will detour along Platte Springs Road until the work is done. Tuesday starts the 5th week of the double murder trial of former attorney Alec Murdaugh will begin. Throughout the week, we'll hear from the defense after the state rested its case on Friday. At that time, defense attorneys called the Colleton County coroner to the stand. He testified the time of death for Maggie and Paul Murdaugh was unclear. Prosecutors presented a detailed timeline they say links Alec to the crime. As the defense team prepares to present more witnesses in the coming week, we spoke with criminal defense attorney Taylor Bell for his take on how blood evidence may play a role.
I think there's got to be some blood somewhere. If he is the shooter at such close range with biological material everywhere, right, as it was described. I'm not saying that circumstances don't put him there, but that's just a hard question that, I think that is going to be talked about in the jury room.
Prosecutors suggest Murdaugh cleaned himself after the killings, and that's why there was no visible blood on him. This week, we could hear from a crime scene analyst and even Murdaugh's living son, Buster. The Colleton County Courthouse recognizes President's Day, so court will resume on Tuesday morning. You can watch it live and catch up on what you may have missed on all of our platforms, including the free News19 mobile app, on our YouTube channel, or on our website, WLTX.com. On the 19th of every month, we introduce you to a person who's been diagnosed with breast cancer. We hope their story will serve as an inspiration and a call to action to take care of yourself. For today's Buddy Call 19 survivor, beating breast cancer began with the strong belief that she was going to survive. Darcy Strickland has her story of how she's turning her pain into purpose.
I'd never been sick before.
3 years ago, Nicole McCune says she went in for her routine mammogram.
I was diagnosed in 2020. That was right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic.
McCune says a 3D mammogram detected a lesion that after a biopsy was confirmed to be breast cancer. Unfortunately, it's a disease she's all too familiar with, having lost a sister to breast cancer, and a year earlier, having another sister diagnosed with the same disease.
She was diagnosed right before her birthday. I was diagnosed right before mine. I had to show them that I wasn't afraid so that they wouldn't be afraid.
During that same time, her father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
He passed away right during the time I was in treatment.
Through it all, she says she's remained strong because of her belief in a higher power.
I just had faith that God was going to heal me.
And now that she's on the other side of healing, she's decided to use what she's experienced to help others.
And I think the only people that truly will understand is people who have survived, who are surviving, and who have experienced it.
McCune has started an organization named Abreast of Hope to offer the help that comes from areas other than medicine.
Education, information, giving them Lexington Medical's phone number and say, this is where you need to go. I think it's important that people get their flowers and that they get well cards. And, just things that people did for me, it's the same things that we want to do for other people. I'm sitting here as a living example, as so many other women have sat here with you. And so that's awesome. I'm happy to be in the number because that means I survived.
Darcy Strickland, News 19, WLTX.
Health experts agree the key to beating breast cancer is an early diagnosis. Talk with your healthcare provider about your family history and the right time for you to begin your routine mammogram. Today was the 9th annual Lexington Chili Cook-Off. This year, more than 1,500 people went out to the Ice House Amphitheater to experience live music, drinks, and of course, the hot and spicy chili. Some of the proceeds from ticket sales will go to the Town of Lexington Police Department. News 19 spoke with one of the founders of the event about the impact this event has on the community.
Quality of life in your community is important, and the more family events that you can provide, the better your community is going to be for mom, dad, children, grandma, grandpa.
21 chili teams competed for the ultimate title of Best Chili and a trophy. The Columbia NAACP Youth Council hosted its Black History celebration today at Northminster Presbyterian Church. The event was called Stepping Forward in Blackness and Making a Difference Seated at the Table. The slogan for the event was Honoring the Past Inspires the Future. There was a panel discussion with Black leaders in Columbia, dance performances, and prayer. Each performance focused on Black unity.
I hope that I was able to encourage and inspire the young people that were present today to show them that they can move up and do anything that they put their minds to. Our young people, who aren't just our future, but our present, an opportunity to shine, an opportunity to reflect, and an opportunity to recognize the beautiful history that is African American history.
The youth at the event also shared their experiences in making history.